Hey guys, welcome to your climbing movement prep. I call it a warm-up sequence, but in reality, it's a lot more than just warming up your body. It's movement prep, as in we are preparing your body for movement so that you can send your route or at least not get injured trying. It starts by warming up each individual joint that you're gonna use on the wall. I like to start with my fingers, doing finger curls. It's important when you're doing finger curls to not just open and close your hands. Do you see how that's very different on camera even? But actually curl your fingers and try to make it into a ball, emphasizing each digit as you go down. Shake it out a little bit. I also like to do finger circles. Finger circles are great because it actually moves your fingers in its full range of motion, which I find helpful because it actually just makes me have the mobility of my hand, which granted you're grabbing most of the time, but it's also great so that you can articulate your fingers. I don't know about you, but I oftentimes cramp when I'm on the wall, so this is a really helpful one to make sure that I have the full movement of what my fingers can do. Give that a little shake. Once you move to the ground, you can actually do a heel lift, lifting your heels off the ground and leaving your fingers, which give it a little bit of a stretch, but I find it also just kind of opens up your fingers. You can even just take each individual finger and pull it back. This gives you a warm up for your fingers so that you know that they're ready to do the movement. I hear a lot of people getting finger injuries out there, and I cannot stress enough to warm up your fingers. You don't have to do these warm-ups, but these are the ones I've found useful, and I have not injured my fingers in 20 years of rock climbing. For a wrist warm-up, I like this move a lot, which is a typical acrobatic and gymnastic style warm-up. Circus, do this. That's a great one. I also really like coming onto the ground and then going into a full circle so that you're really trying to prevent your heel of your hand to lift off. It can lift off a little bit, that's okay, but you're just trying to get that full range of motion. I like to do 5 to 10 reps on each of these, but you don't need to stop at that. You can actually do any of these as many times as you need so that you feel good. Give yourself like 30 seconds even for each one of these, or a little longer, depending on how cold it is outside and how warm you feel. For your elbows, we're just trying to articulate the control that we have in the full range that your elbow has when it's locked down. So when you're climbing, you might rotate your elbow out like this, which is not good form, but we're kind of waking up your shoulder and your elbow as to all the movements it's about to do. We're gonna do some thoracic mobilizations and just start with a basic cat-cow, where we're gonna round our thoracic spine and go into extension. Once you get good at this, you can try isolating and going into a full circle laterally. For shoulder circles, we're gonna reach one arm up to the sky, rotate back. I like to try to get the full range. So right when my ribs start to want to open, which is right here, I rotate my hand. And I try to keep this hand supporting my ribs so that I can tell when I'm about to open up. Once you rotate your hand, you can come up and then you go pinky leading down to the ground. Change directions. And the key here is to try to control the circle. We don't want to just swing, right? We're trying to articulate motion that you have with minimal rotation of your torso. Switch sides. My tendency is to bend my elbows, and I'm working on that. If you see my elbows bent, trying to really make it intentional to do your arm movement. Change directions. And wherever your shoulders are at, that's not a bad place for them to be. We're just trying to work on them so that you can continue to increase that range whenever you're doing them. I like videotaping because then you can be focused in your body, whereas if you're looking in the mirror, you're analyzing while you're doing it. If you look back at what you're doing and then repeat it, you're in your body doing the exercise. Shoulder clocks, we're going up towards our ears. We're rolling our shoulders back and round all the way up. The hard part is right here where that sticking point is. Then you're rounding forward. We're trying to isolate your scapular movement as you're doing your shoulder clocks or shoulder circles. As we move to our hips, I like to do side lunges because we're often in some sort of side lunge position on the wall. When I do my side lunge, it's okay to lift your back heel up or your heel that most of your weight is on. Specifically when you're doing this exercise as a warm-up, that's all right. If you're doing it as an exercise, you don't really want to do that. But for the purposes of this, we're gonna kind of lift our heel off if you need to. Not everybody needs to. And we'll pull, I like to pull my toe towards my shin, but you can equally get activation of pointing your toe as well. Just kind of trying to open up your hips as well as engage. I like to do like a heel hook activation by pulling my heel, prepping my hamstring for a heel hook. That's why I call these heel hook side lunges, because really we're really trying to dig that heel in, and then that activates your hamstring a little bit, pulling and next, we're gonna do an ATG lunge, and in an ATG lunge, we want to get our thigh or our hamstring resting against our calf, like so. And again, my heel lifts off the ground. That's not a problem. If you have something to slip underneath you, this is a great time for that. But we're just kind of getting that knee joint warm for when you're gonna go knees past your toes, which happens really often in climbing. Just a few lunges to kind of activate your knee joint, but also get your hips open in this plane. Whew. So now your hips and your knees should be warm. And then I actually even like to give an extra knee circle. What we're doing in a knee circle is you're kind of, if you notice the angle that's going on in my knees, we're preparing our knees to go in a full circle, because when you're on the wall, dropping your knee, moving, you're gonna need to move that knee. So that's why I like the knee circles. At least it gets a little bit of a warm up. You can go dive deeper into a knee mobility as well, but this is just kind of a quick and dirty way to get your knees warm and ready, because we're doing movement prep. When we move down to our ankles, what I like to do is go inversion onto your tippy toes, then come out to the eversion, back to your heel, lifting up your toes, back into inversion, tippy toes and back. So we're doing this circle, right? Like to do the two so that I have that full range, and waking up my ankles. I mean, you could literally just do this. You don't have to even do the circle, but the advantage is you have the front and the back. So if you were to break down the full circle, you can go eversion, you can go inversion, then eversion, inversion, eversion, rock forward, rock back. And so we're going back, evert, forward, back, onto the side. Oh, keep that balance, and back up. Finally, we're gonna move on to our toes. And with our toes, what I want you to do is focus on reaching your pinky toe down and then fanning the rest of your toes. Then your big toe comes up last. So pinky and fan to the big toe and up. Just warming up your toe, because we shove these feet into shoes, especially shoes. Climbing shoes are tight shoes. Part of the reason why I have toe spacers is because I've noticed that over the years of wearing a climbing shoe, my toes have started to shrivel. So I try to get these toe spacers because I want to counterbalance my feet being in rock climbing shoes. I have an affiliate link. If you want to click on it and buy yourself some, great. You don't have to use it, but I mean, the big reason of why I use them is to counterbalance my rock climbing. Okay, now we're moving to our hanging section of the warm-up. So you're gonna hang, and what I want you to do is not cross your legs or splay your legs out like this. I want you to make sure that your knees are touching and reach down, tuck your pelvis, and then start relaxing your shoulders. That's when you get that extra compression of your spine, and that's when you're kind of hanging on your ligamentous tissue, which is what you're gonna end up doing when you're resting on certain holds while you're climbing. And then after you've done this for 10, 20, 30 seconds, we're gonna move to the active hang, where you're gonna pull your shoulder blades down. You can either hold or you can do some pumps, just so that you know. What I'm looking for is for you to kind of get an idea of the proprioception, the understanding where your shoulder girdle is in space. And that's why we do that, do this exercise, so that you're activating your scapular muscles to pull you down. I hope you enjoy this warm-up routine. I love getting comments from my viewers, so feel free to leave a comment or send me an email from the newsletter. And I want to know not just the negative things. People love to write the negative things. If these things are being positive for you, let me know as well. And if you see ways I can improve also, you can feel free to contact me as well. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys on the next one.